I'm Diego Cordovez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. And today, Michael DeMichele is coming in, and even though he'd won some tournaments and done some things before, everybody saw him on ESPN.
He exploded into the limelight.
He exploded into the limelight in the 50K horse, runner-up. He'd finished fourth in the mixed games earlier. So, on the one hand, this is a huge accomplishment, especially for a young guy playing all these mixed games. But all the theatrics and all the drama with Scotty also, whether he wanted to or not, put him right in the spotlight. So we want to talk to him about that.
I like when a young guy is a mixed game specialist. I'm sick of these no-limit punks.
Yeah, these specialists who just are little computers who just play no-limit heads up. Anyone can just program their computer.
I want to talk about the horse.
Yeah. Good, that's what we'll do. So we're familiar now with young guys coming on the scene and winning no-limit tournaments and specializing in no-limit, but for a young guy to come in and really do well in the mixed games, and you played and did well in the mixed games live, not just in the 50K horse when people saw you. You made the final table of the 8-game mix also, which a lot of people might not have realized.
Yeah, the 10K mix, yeah.
How did you become proficient in these games so quickly?
Well, I just started playing them all, and to me, poker is much more than just no limit hold'em. That's just one specific game, and I've always loved playing games growing up. I love the the thought-provoking aspect of it. It requires me to consistently challenge myself all the time. So, at some point when I was just playing hold'em for long stretches of time, I felt like I wasn't getting challenged enough. So, I turned to other avenues of poker, and it provoked my intelligence.
Where was it that you really feel like you made the kind of the transition to really not dominating those games, but certainly feeling comfortable in them and start to?
Well, I was playing a lot of them at Foxwoods, and the games there were so good, so I had a lot of opportunity to take shots at them when I thought I had a good chance at winning. So I got a lot of experience there, and I moved out to Las Vegas, and they have a lot of mixed games here, and so I would play in those quite consistently, and I guess it just got better throughout time.
When you were at Foxwoods, would they spread a mix, or would you just play stud a lot, or then stud 8?
Well, they had a lot of 75-150 straight stud high, but they also had a 75-150 OE game, which is where I got my start. And then I went to Atlantic City, and they would add in more games into the rotation. And out here on the West Coast, they spread draw games as well, and on the East Coast, it's actually illegal to spread draw games. So coming out here on the West Coast, I didn't have much experience at all in Baduki and triple draw, and now you're starting to see no limit single draw in rotations, and of course Palam at Omaha. And so I think it's very regional what part of the country you're in as to what kind of games they like to play there.
Do you still play live most days of the week? Do you go?
Yeah, I really enjoy the social aspect of playing live. Online, it's it's a lot more solitary, and I can't really see.
Look at the final table, the social aspect.
Yeah, that was a great time. That's what I played.
A lot of social interaction.
Yeah, love the controversy and the duking it out.
I mean, it's interesting that a lot of people were introduced to you there. As I said, just a couple of weeks before in the 8-game mix, you finished fourth, I think.
Yeah.
So, that's already a strong statement because that's the horse games and even more.
Yeah, it was like the same field, basically. Both fields were about 150 players.
Yeah, but this was a 10K event, so it attracted a pretty elite field. And then the 50K made it all the way down to the final 3. And then we all saw on ESPN all the different antics. How did that affect you as far as just your playing? Did it make you focus more, or did it distract you, or did it end up being kind of a neutral effect?
Well, I think it's very frustrating to have to deal with that, and have somebody constantly drill you and make you feel like crap about yourself. So that's just tilt in itself. When it's science that if you're frustrated and angry, that you can't make decisions as well. I personally feel like I'm pretty resilient to tilt. In that I try to focus on what I have to do, and I don't try to deviate from that style at all. So just because Scotty Nguyen is trying to get under my skin doesn't mean that I'm going to try to alter my play and play differently, because that to me is losing in itself. So I try to just play what I think. I try to play my hands the way that I think they should be played. But yeah, of course, it does make it hard if you make good decisions, just because that is tilt in itself.
But looking back on it, are there specific hands where you think maybe in this case it did affect me? I was trying to get at him, so I was stubborn, or he was upsetting me, and I got it, or where there was some direct effect, or just in general?
Well, honestly, later on in the tournament, when I started to lose my chips back, Scotty just kept hitting hand after hand, and he kept showing me the nuts, and I kept paying him off. And in general, I would say that my payoffs were correct, but it just seemed like Scotty wasn't bluffing at all. He honestly just always had it. So maybe I should have just folded more, and maybe, but that was me trying not to deviate from how I thought the hand should have been played, and maybe I should have just laid down more hands to him. And sometimes I think back, maybe I could have actually won the tournament had I played a little bit different, you know, and that's kind of frustrating. But you know, I tried to play my best while I was in it, and that's all I could have done, you know, just.
How long did the actual heads-up portion last?
Oh, I don't know how long. Oh no, the heads-up portion lasted like only a few hands. He had like a 5-1 chip lead on me, and basically, I think there was one hand where I think he beat me the first hand, and then like the second hand, like we got a one pre-flop with like I had like ace-3 or something against his ace-10,
Right.
something like that. Yeah, so.
Because a lot of times when they show a couple of hands from the heads up, they don't even show how it went back and forth. But in this case, by then it was pretty well
Yeah, we
decided.
had like a 16-hour final table, and three-handed. We played for hours and hours, and as soon as we got down to heads up, Scotty had all the chips. So.
Looking at, I mean, most people, we always talk about the fact that when you see the TV coverage, you're just seeing a snippet. You're not seeing all the context about hands or about the atmosphere or anything.
Right, it's hard to get a good sense of what's going on, yeah.
Yeah, obviously this was great television for ESPN, and they showed all the different drama, the interactions, and with Eric Lindgren and Scotty and then Lane on the sidelines and everything. But looking at the broadcast, how accurately do you think they depicted?
I'm really proud of how ESPN handled the whole thing. I actually was concerned that they were going to make me look like the bad guy on TV, and you know, protect Scotty's image because he's a big asset to the World Series, you know, and I'm the newcomer.
At ESPN.
Yeah, of course. So I really thought that they might make him look like, you know, the Prince of Poker and make me look like the young, you know, scumbag who wants to get under everyone's skins. But I really thought they captured everything really well. And, you know, and I didn't like the way I came off on TV the first half hour. I felt like I was, you know, I felt I was a little too rambunctious, and I could see how I rubbed the pros the wrong way, and I'm sorry about that.
You know, the interesting thing about that to me is usually you don't get the whole story arc in just an ESPN broadcast, but yeah, you acted out a little bit, and then you yourself realized it early in the show, and you apologized, and you
right,
know,
yeah,
and
they captured everything.
And they actually, Norman Chad, I thought was super fair about it because he was like, yeah, he's a kid, you know, that's over. Yeah, I didn't think that was such a big deal.
I
didn't think you should do the wave and do the worm on the table.
Yeah, I'm dancing on the table, right?
Did you think that Scotty was really trying to get under your skin just as a tactic, or was it just he was going with the mood and he's drinking and it just kind of kept building and building?
Well,
because sometimes people will just try to get you off your game, especially if he sees you're on his left, you're a threat to him.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, he had a lot of beer and he's getting carried away, so.
Yeah, my take on it is that Scotty was honestly very belligerent. I'm told that he had at least 12 drinks coming back from dinner break alone, and he was drinking on dinner break. And at one point, he was getting under my skin so bad that I didn't really know how to handle it on TV. You know, I don't want to make myself look bad, and at the same time, I don't want to let this guy just, you know, run me over on TV and not say anything.
You stood up for yourself pretty
I tried
well.
to do the best. I tried to handle it as well as I could.
But you don't think there was more calculated tactic on his part to try?
Well, I was about to say that at some point he was getting under my skin so much that I went into the VIP room where all the you know, the big name pros hang out.
Yeah.
They were actually playing a game of Chinese poker, and
I'm not allowed in there.
Even
yeah, I can only imagine how much they were gambling for. But anyway, one of them was telling me that Scotty likes to honestly get under people's skins at final table. That he hears about that, you know, quite frequently. And I was just told that the best I could do was you know, just try to give him some tongue back and without making myself look bad. Someone thought I should have challenged him to heads up, you know, on TV, which I thought was disrespectful. And I mean, honestly, I would be comfortable playing Scotty heads up, but
no, that's been done. That's been done.
Too.
I'm glad you didn't do that because that's been done. I like the way you calmly told him that you're not going to be bullied, and that's the end of it. You know, you're not going to fight. You know, you're both grown men.
Yeah, going to take a fist fight.
Right, that's
take a heads up match. Just stop it, Scotty.
That's been
alone.
done. Right, no, you handle it okay.
Right.
But I mean, I think knowing Scotty, I really do like Scotty, but we know that when he drinks, he gets belligerent was the right word, and
animated,
and he'll try, but he also is super smart. So the poker player in him is trying to get an edge, so it's both things going on.
Yeah, he was really trying to get into my mind and trying to mess up my game. And you know, there's definitely a mental aspect to poker, and it is good controversy, and it's good TV. So for all those reasons, you know, his antics are, you know, it perhaps is good for poker, but at the same time, it perceives such a negative light on the whole thing. But I definitely think that it makes it more entertaining to watch. That's for sure. I got high ratings, didn't it? So
I'm sure it did.
That's one broadcast that, besides the ratings, people will be talking about for a long time.
And every time they show it, people will watch it. I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
I mean, last year Freddie Deeb won, and people remember that he won, but that's probably it. Probably they can't remember a single hand from that
Right.
broadcast.
Yeah.
So
Not much.
I mean, this one people will remember, and a lot of the
The whole thing, I think, is a little bit overblown. The one thing that bothered me, which I'm sure bothered you, was when Scotty was telling Eric at the table that he wants to get heads up with him, and then apparently was playing to try to achieve that goal, not necessarily playing as, that was not, that was
see,
bad.
that had to be very unsettling. I mean, that's, Adam and I have talked about this off camera, which is all the yelling and drinking. All of us who've played poker have been in situations
That happens in every
Yeah, you gotta
tournament.
learn
where
how to
someone
deal
has
with
to
it.
and you have to
Right.
block them out because
Right.
people are just. I mean, this was a weird case because Scotty's so well known. It's the final table, but we've all been in uncomfortable situations. But when Scotty really, said, "I want to get heads up," and I'm going to do this. I mean, that puts you in a really weird spot, three-handed, where now you're wondering what the dynamics are of the game and how to adjust.
I've never had to deal with open collusion, and it's hard for me to use the word collusion because it's such a very very strict word. But I definitely believe that Scotty was doing unfair things, and I don't think Eric had any part
No,
of
the
it.
good thing was Eric, as he said, was not on Team Scotty. That
Right.
day.
I don't believe that
Eric
at all.
clearly was not on Team Scotty, and Scotty, again, it was more whatever he was doing. It wasn't even to try to maximize his chance of winning. It was just more of a personal thing. That's the weird part.
Yeah, I don't really even know what his incentive was for it, but I just know that it was completely unfair to me, and I really hope that there are some repercussions for it. Maybe people won't forget or something. What he did really wasn't fair for me.
That was the most unfortunate aspect. I mean,
Yeah.
Was there?
And it did at one point alter my play too, because I actually it didn't air on TV, and it wasn't really a big deal, but there was a hand where I was jamming Third Street in Raz against Eric with an 8 against a 7, in which I wouldn't have. I actually was trying to build a bigger pot, so that way I could get Eric try to bust Eric as quickly as possible, because I didn't think that Scotty was even going to bust Eric.
Right.
So I was intentionally trying to gamble more than I would have normally wanted to, just so I could get a shot to bust Eric, and that, I mean, like, that's not fair to me.
You're playing
that I have to do that.
three-handed. If you don't think Scotty's going to make an effort to bust Eric,
Then you
now
have
you've
to
got
do
to
it.
take
And
chances that
and
you
Eric's on my left too, and of
take.
course it's hard because Scotty's got position and I don't. Eric's going to naturally get my chips more often.
Right, and you're being forced to take risks that you wouldn't otherwise take, just because of the dynamics.
Right. Yeah.
At any point, did you go to any of the tournament officials? They don't show this on camera. Off camera, did you go to any of the tournament officials or consider going to talk to them about either issue, either the
behavior or the play.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't go on any officials, and maybe I regret that a little bit. I feel like maybe it's not my responsibility to request penalties.
Well, it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
they should have.
definitely not.
Obviously,
I wish they
watching
would have done
that,
something,
They should
would
have
have stepped
taken
in
the
themselves.
initiative on their own. It's really the people who have no defense are the floormen who are right there, watching what we're watching, doing nothing. But
actually-
since they did do nothing, I was curious whether you decided to try to
No,
push them.
I didn't. And the only time they actually stepped in was when Scotty had made a comment that actually it made TV about how Eric, bet into him after he had protected
Right.
Eric's hand and studied better.
Yep.
And after that hand, we went to break, and when we came back, the floor manager came to the table and he said, "I don't want to hear one more word about slow play,"
Yeah.
and that was it. What does it matter if they're not going to talk about it if it's actually going to happen?
Well, see, I was going to say, it's
Go
not-
ahead and do it. Just don't say
I was going to say it's
I
not
don't hear
one
about
more.
it no
It's
more.
not, it's not one more word. I just don't want to see any more slow play. Period.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange. But you didn't make a point of that either.
Maybe I really should have. I don't know.
I mean,
Then I'm the crybaby, right? I'm whining to the officials.
Well, right. That's
trying
the
to get
shit.
trying to get a
you're in a
penalty out of
no-win.
it.
You're in a no-win situation.
Yeah, I just wish it didn't happen. I just wanted the tournament to transgress the way it was supposed to, and the winner win the bracelet. And
I
I
hope
congratulate him, but I didn't really feel like that. I had a bitter taste in my mouth. So.
I hope now that some time has gone by, you can feel like it's a positive for you, because coming in second in the 50K horse,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's still a good thing.
That's the biggest accomplishment of my life so far. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm
and
happy
you're
about
gonna
that.
you get a lot of media exposure.
Yeah.
You're so.
Yeah, I'm here doing an interview
Oh
with you
yes, on
guys.
the hit scoop.
That's better than finishing like 15th from the bottom in the 50K horse, for example.
Who that happened to that we know?
But after this was all over, have any of the other guys talked to you? I mean, I assume you've run into Eric or Scotty or other.
Actually, no, I haven't seen them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually haven't done that much traveling since then. I only went to Borgata and I've just been here in Vegas. I live out here, but I haven't seen the two guys.
The 50K horse, just by definition, is going to have a pretty star-studded final table. And I mean, Barry Greenstein and Huckseed. And
Yeah, they're all
other
legends.
guys
They're
are
all
there.
fantastic
Very
players.
legendary guys, especially in all the games, not surprisingly. What were your experiences or your impressions playing against them, and that, with the high stakes, where that they want to win desperately, and you were involved in a big TV hand with Huck where you knocked him out. Did you have a lot of experience playing against them in live games before?
I played against many of these players before. I've played with Huck several times specifically. It's always a pleasure playing with such prestigious players. These guys are so well accomplished and they've dedicated their lives to this, and I learned so much while playing with them. I'm constantly watching what they're doing, and I'm trying to figure out why it is they're making the plays that they are. There's a lot of learning to go. I learned so much just playing the 50K horse in itself because I was able to play with elite players every single day, I play in very, very competitive games, but not as competitive as the 50K horse field was. That was the elite.
The 50K horse is a unique event. There's nothing.
Yeah, of course. So it was just a great experience in itself, not even just the final table.
It's not just the field, but it's the motivation. I think
everyone wants to go and kick ass.
Everyone really wants to win that one. And
I think it is the most prestigious tournament.
It's become that. And the other thing is, with so many World Series events now and 2 and 3 tournaments in a day, sometimes you see these guys are playing in one event, but they're signed up for another one. They're running back and forth, or they're like, well, if I don't get a lot of chips early, I can't play the other one, so I'll just gamble here. In the 50K horse, it's not like that. Everyone's 100% focused on, I want to win this. There's there's a good cash game too, and I'll see if I build it up. If not, this is the real thing.
Everyone in poker is watching that. If they're not in it, they want to know what's happening in that, and it's hard to follow all the rest of the dozens of $1,500 buy-ins.
Yeah, I thought it was a shame that they only gave 2 hours of TV time this year.
It is. And the thing is, with so many big name players, you could show hours that people would be interested in. I mean, everyone wants to see Doyle playing. And
I can understand if
there's not big names.
I can understand if there's not enough interest for it to be on ESPN for more than 2 hours. But where's the DVD? I wish they would have recorded.
That's a really good idea.
I'd buy it. I want to watch the rest of it.
I think they might be convinced to show more of the horse in the future because it got such great response. But I think in the initial few years they were leery because it's harder to produce, to show the mixed games than it is No Limit Hold'em, because everyone understands No Limit Hold'em.
Right.
But like showing a stud 8 hand and the percentages and explaining it on the fly is a little bit more difficult. But I think they're getting better at it.
Yeah, I really don't know how much of the audience actually understands what's going on, and that's definitely a big problem.
See, what happened is, a couple of years ago, they actually showed a bunch of other games trying to promote those. They showed 7-card stud tournament, an Omaha 8 tournament, a stud high-low tournament, and people didn't get into them. And part of it is they didn't really understand the games, and part of it is that there isn't the same drama of I'm all in. But in the 50K horse, again, with the big names playing and with like really high level of poker going on, I think they figure out a way to make it interesting.
ESPN has gotten better, and they continue. When they first showed stud games, they would change the order of the cards. So
on the screen,
just like let's say you start with an ace down.
Oh, so that you could see
what the hand is, right? But it's like as if it wasn't important to know when you caught the ace.
That drove me personally so crazy. I had no idea what was going on.
Right, they're changing it with every card, and you're like, wait, I thought he started with 2.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a fold on 4 because Michael had open aces,
Right.
But yeah, they have gotten better.
Well, I think that in the future people are going to appreciate the strategic value of poker more, and I think people are getting a little bit bored of No Limit Hold'em and just all in big drama pots. That was a big cliche of ESPN World Series of Poker and World Poker Tour. They just love to show people going all in and the
especially World Poker Tour.
Yeah, and I think that's becoming less and less, and I think in the future people are going to appreciate more variations of poker.
But we did first see you in No Limit Hold'em at the USPC.
Yep, that was my
our research staff.
Yeah, we went over that.
But our research staff brought us a video of this incredible hand that you played, where you 4-bet and it was just bluff, rebluff, rebluff.
Yeah,
rebluff.
I like that hand.
And,
yeah, please recite that hand.
It's the best thing that you could have done, because once people see that, then they're going to base a lot of their play against you.
Oh, I had so much action after that. After that TV
can you
event.
tell us? Because a lot of people probably aren't familiar. He was at the USPC
against Eric Crane, who's a very aggressive player as well.
Yeah, I opened under the gun with King Queen, and he called in late position with I believe 6-8 suited. And what was the flop?
9-9 deuce.
9-9 deuce, right?
Yeah, 9-9 deuce or 9 deuce deuce.
Yeah, the board was paired, and it was like,
and went check on the flop, and then the turn brought a 5, and I checked. He bet I think 15K. I check raised to 45. He re-raised, and I put him all in, giving him he had I think 9-1 odds to call, and maybe that was the shortcoming of my bluff, because I had to make the shove so quick that it looked more natural. Maybe I did have a full house, so it was hard for me to assess exactly what type of odds he was getting. I couldn't do the math that quick, and then getting 9-1, that was a really risky play.
Do you remember the comment he made because when you now put him all in, he obviously can't call with 8 high.
Right.
Even for the gut shot, he can't.
Right.
'cause
He was. Yeah. And he thought I had a 9's full or something. Is that what it was?
no. What he said was, "No, I know what it feels like to have my pants down on national TV."
Yeah, I remember that comment.
Because
Yeah.
that's the word. As you know, like when you get in a situation where you're getting some huge price to call and you can't call, it's
Right,
embarrassing.
for anything.
Yeah.
I've been in that where people move in on the river or something, and it's about 3 more chips
Another
to call.
10,
But
yeah.
I would probably call with a 10 high there, but it's like a 5 high or something, and
Right.
you fold, and everyone looks at you like this has really been out.
Yeah. You get embarrassed. Yeah.
But what I thought was fascinating was exactly that, the fact that it wasn't a huge shove in the end where now he's got to call for a huge amount of chips. I mean, it was still a number where if he had some sort of hand or some sort of reasonable draw, he'd be tempted to call.
Yeah,
So
it was a
I didn't
really
know if
risky
that
play.
was kind of the real higher level thinking where the fact that it wasn't that much more gave more credibility to your play because it
How could I be
wasn't
bluffing-
just, it wasn't
bluffing a
just,
spot like that,
hey,
right?
you're going to have to make a huge call here. It was, yeah, I'm putting all my chips in and I want to get that last piece.
Yeah,
Do you think that was going through his head or it didn't get to that point where he was tricked
I'm guessing
by your smaller move
if he had a little something, he definitely might have called getting 9-1. So maybe for that reason, maybe my play was a little over aggressive. But I really just thought I just knew for sure that he was just bluffing me, and I can't explain how I knew that. But I just I mean, I wish I could have shoved with ace high. That would have made me feel a little bit better. But I'm shoving with king high, so
Had there been history
There must have been.
leading up to that hand between you two guys? Because otherwise, that's a really...
honestly, I don't remember the history too well. I at the time I knew that Eric was a very, very aggressive
He's
player.
super aggressive.
Yeah, capable of so much stuff. And I think he was bowling the table around quite a bit at the time.
That's his way.
Yeah.
So since then, have you said you've gotten a lot of action just based on that or people commenting on that?
Yeah, after that tournament, I made so many bluffs in that specific tournament that I went back to cash games and other tournaments by playing actually a little bit more of a tight style because people would just constantly pay me off. Every time I would shove all in, they just thought that I was making my move king queen again.
They're not giving you any credit for having made an adjustment to...
Right. So yeah, I went through a phase where I was playing tighter than usual. I didn't really bluff for stacks, but now my action's worn off, so people have forgotten. So I don't know. Now I got my moves again.
Well, very interesting. Very interesting to have you on because you really hit the scene hard at this World Series, and I think a lot of people didn't really know your background or how you'd become proficient in all these games. But I can see just from your demeanor that it suits you to learn all these different variations. And
I take
play.
poker very seriously. I really like playing it. It's really challenging.
Well, no doubt we'll see a lot more of you then in all tournaments and live games. So
Well, you know what? I hope you're right.
It better be. But thanks for coming in and talking about the show that we all saw and all we're curious about. So thanks for coming
Thanks
by.
for having me. It was fun, yeah.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. Write to us at thescoop@cardplayer.com.
Two bracelets. Awesome.
Well, these aren't easy to win. Remember this one like it was yesterday. My opponent had me down to my left. Sorry. Anyway, it's down to my last few chips. So, I had to call.
We play at FullTiltPoker.com.